Hello and welcome. I'm DragonDM, or Andrew Veal if you prefer. Today I am bringing you an episode from a different campaign I am running, this one with Seb, Toby and Henry. This is the first D&D campaign they have ever been in, and we are jumping into session 12. They have already amassed a formidable crew for their airship by picking up NPCs wherever they can. They have failed to stop a Leviathan Kraken's release and its subsequent destruction of one of the major hubs of my homebrew world, 8 years in the making. They have visited brothels, cheated at gambling, stolen celestial fruits, visited ancient temples, and picked up a talking sword. In short, they are D&D players through and through. If you want to know more about their characters, their past, and their crew, read the video description, because we will be headed straight into the session. I hope you enjoy it. The Honeypot, Mysterious Skies, Episode 1, Part 1, Mists of Arvandor. Who wants to do recap?
Give it a think. What did happen? Oh, actually, no, I remember exactly what happened. Let me cast my mind back to the events preceding to the entering of the portal. We had just escaped from this huge walking Leviathan thingy, and were flying away, and we had plenty of time before we were going to reach Hardak, our destination, where we were going to pick up some beautiful red Malbec wine and fill up with cheese and caviar and all that good shit. On the way there, we were all doing our own things, all training on our own ways. Clank decides to, I think this is in this episode, that Clank attempts to steal the sword of Ranadin. Unknown to Ranadin. Unknown to anyone. And he hears the sword's voice, then it basically is told, this is a bad idea, you shouldn't do this, takes the psychic hit, and also loses the ability to talk about anything that happened in that thing, but still remembers the fact that did happen, which is wild. So that happens, and everyone's, and that kind of is inconsequential for Ranadin so far. Ranadin, on the other hand, is also attempting to buff up his skills with the sword, and the sword's like, "Hey, you wanna challenge?" And so Ranadin's like, "Yes, I will do it." And so like that. It's like, "I'll take anything." And so the sword summons this ridiculous horror. I don't remember. It was like a centaur, but like.
I rolled a 7 on a D100.
It
was bad.
It was like some giant centaur from hell, and we all fought it. And we spent the entire session. We spent hours fighting this thing, and eventually I saved the day. Ranadin almost died. I turned into a giant eagle.
I forgot about
saved
that.
Ranadin's life at the very last second.
It vanished, so I couldn't even eat it. What was the point?
And then we came back and we were like, wow, what was all that then? And Aaron was like, oh, I don't know.
Must be the weather.
I know with my eagle eyes that we were being chased by some people riding some things. I don't remember what they were. I don't know if they were wyverns or something similar, some kind of flying dragon type thing.
I think it was wyverns, yeah.
Yeah. And so we were like, shit, let's keep going. And it was kind of like the bit in The Last Jedi when they're being chased by the Empire. And we were just kind of like going at the same pace as they were, slightly out of range. And then we
awesome piloting.
Amtris, the boy, found the secret divine portal and was like, hey, we could skip through this place. And so we were like, okay. So we decided to do that. Ranadin offered up some fruit that he had stolen from the gods. I recognize this as good divine light that I feel affinity to. Ranadin offered up the carcass of the fruit that he stole from the gods, and I was like, hey, we come in peace. And I believe that is where we ended the session.
Yes. That's a very good recap. Anything to add from anyone else, or are we happy to begin?
There was some weird astral amphitheater dream that we all had, or I don't know how that works into the canon.
At some point.
At some point, that also happened.
Fortunately, because the other group aren't organized, I will tell you how it fits into the canon as and when it is appropriate.
Cool, that's fine.
Cool.
So be it.
The mists have surrounded you.
Yeah.
Ranadin stands at the very fore of the Honeypot as it flies forward, Clank at the helm, expert pilot that he might be. Ranadin, you raise your hands up, the husk exterior of the fruit that you consumed with the seed sitting in, raised upwards, and Armitage comes to give context and meaning to your sign. Is it, hey, I ate your fruit, fuck you? Or is it, look, I liked your fruit?
It's very
We
much
are
an I
friends.
liked your fruit.
And as that mist begins to resolve itself into physical forms, you can hear the beating of wings. Large, huge wings around you in the mist.
Oh,
Occasionally a slight shadow is cast over the deck. But they circle and do not attack. And then you hear a voice. A voice that is familiar to only one of you, Armitage. It is androgynous and ethereal. And you will hear just the words, because I do not have an androgynous ethereal voice, nor can I really portray androgynous etherealness. But it speaks to you, and it thanks you for returning that which was stolen as you enter. And with Armitage's charismatic presence, you have avoided the first confrontation of whatever is hidden in the mists. And you
Absolute
come
fucking
out
clutch.
of the mists and see before you an expansive landscape completely different to that which you left behind. Huge columns rise out of the ground and seem to merge with the sky. There is a light over everything, like a warm sunlight of a spring or summer day, but the sky shows the stars as if it is nighttime. A beautiful, expansive forest. It is teeming with life. Life that at this distance looks like birds, but as your keen eyes start to pick up different things, you realize there are all sorts of weird and wonderful creatures. Large lakes glisten in front of you. You feel like you have reached nirvana or something
Single
of that
tear
nature.
rolls down Ranadin's cheek as he sees all these delectable treats to experiment with.
What are the columns made of that are rising into the sky, merging with the sky?
And do they
As
rise
you look at
infinitely?
As you look at them, they seem to be made out of a sort of stone, but have a textured pattern on the outside that reminds you of the trunks of trees, except they are miles and miles tall. Now, all of this beauty assaults your senses. It's an overwhelming... There's a fragrance in the air, and then a moment of panic as the ship begins to lurch and drops suddenly. Clank, it's as though the power of the flight core that gives a lift disappears, and you start hurtling down. What do you do?
Do we have any mechanism to glide? We don't have a sail or anything, do we?
You have slight fins that you can use to when you're going fast. They convert some of your full momentum into lift to allow the honeypot to slice better through the air. So you can partially control your descent using those. You do still have the ones that provide propulsion rather than the one that provides lift. They are still functioning. It just seems like the central core that acts as a ballast holding you up in the air is gone. So now the thrusters, if you will, are taking a full strain, and the ship starts to vibrate slightly as these 4 external points take the load that normally the center one does. You can hear the panicked voice in engineering calls back.
Yeah.
Captain, Admiral, you got nothing from the main core.
What is going on, Vile? Have you ever seen anything like this before?
I want to find Amtress. Get him up there.
Okay, Amtress is in the cockpit with Clank, as Clank requested Amtress's presence at the end of last session. Amtress starts thinking. You can see him stroking the elongated chin that he has because he has a bull's head, the tan fur knitted between his fingers. He must have left the material plane. The flight core must interact with something on it. Well, welcome to the outer planes.
Dun dun.
Clank, you would retort with something, poetic or philosophical, or maybe just a bit like swashbucklery, but both hands are gripped on joysticks, pulling back hard, trying to gain some control of the descent. Can I get a piloting check, please?
Yeah.
Please. Can I ready my reaction for if we're about to crash, that I jump out and just...
And then use your wings to...
And use my wings to not take any fall damage. Just to ready that.
I'm going to use...
Yeah, ready.
I use Flash of Genius on that as well. I don't know how many I have, though, because I've lost all the details from my sheet from last time.
Yeah. I think you have at least one remaining, and that will get you through. It was more important if you guys had to face what was in the fog.
Okay, well that's good.
Damn it.
So Flash of Genius adds another 4 to that, correct?
Yeah.
To bring it to a 12. You start careening downwards. Clank does a pretty admirable job of keeping the honeypot up. Really gives it his all, but doesn't seem like fortune's on your side today, and it looks like a crash is imminent. Ranadin, what are you doing?
I want to talk to my sword. Did you send us here?
No, master.
Pardon, sorry?
No, master.
God. I like that you're running and saying, Bob.
Sorry, no, I didn't hear it. It cut out. I was out of character. Shh. Alright, quiet. This is serious.
I just love the idea of Ranadin going into a fancy restaurant.
Pardon, sorry.
Suddenly be like, pardon, sir. Not wanting to get thrown out before he has his main course.
Alright, lots of stuff to kill here, I see.
Be careful, master. It's a strange land. Let's journey through it without me.
Without you? So be it.
Then the sword falls silent.
God fucking damn.
Yes!
And you feel a sort of a strange effect. It's not as though the bond you have with the sword is gone. So rather than the bond being severed, it's like the bond retracts into you and sits internally rather than sitting as a link between you and the sword. And at the moment that happens, like the very moment that has been said, the voice comes back, this androgynous voice speaking, "Fear not." And a light appears and starts to descend towards the ship. Clank has managed to hold the ship in the air, beating a DC of 10 long enough that you just have not crashed as the light appears. So yeah, Flash of Genius coming in clutch there. The light is more distinct than that which you have ever seen in your dreams. And at the very edges of this light, you remember it's slightly wider than it is tall, the light seems to have a more focalized point to it spreading out, and you can see tips of wings, a light blue, almost turquoise color, fanned feathers. They're not flapping, just sprayed out at the very edges, and it descends down towards the ship. And as it descends, coming from the sky are other great feathered creatures, much larger, but not nearly as magnificent or with this obscuring light. The birds fly towards you, but as they fly towards you, they just grow larger and larger and larger. They don't seem to have a limit. And these birds have a wingspan of 120 feet. As one of them grabs the honeypot in its talons and then glides the honeypot down into a relatively soft landing.
I spread my wings as wide as possible and raise my arms up to these beautiful creatures and say, "Hello! Thank you! Thank you!"
Clank bows down in silence.
Yeah, I'm gonna sheath my sword and go over to Buzzington like, you know these guys? They cool?
Ranadin, you're looking at this giant bird. You're like, damn, that's big.
Right.
Can you imagine the fried chicken that you can make with that.
We need to start we need to start investing in infrastructure to cook that kind of thing. Like Jesus Christ! Can you imagine what the rotisserie required?
First thing to round in his head is, I need a bigger cauldron and skillet.
Why is Clank ever used to making me these things?
And as you descend, touching down at the glade, the voice speaks one more. Armitage, thank you for visiting us. Rest all. And seeming there's a strange nature to this place where definitely wasn't there before. Something that you would have seen out of your peripheral just seems to materialize forward. White marble stones form a slight plaza wrapped in vines with rich grapes growing off the side. And flittering in from the woodlands, small creatures that will suddenly transform into elven forms, carrying trays, drinks, foods.
What?
They are serving on what appears to be platinum tables that line this new plaza before you.
I like this place.
Amazing.
I know a god.
Buzzington.
Amtris is literally just writing down things in a scroll. He's writing as fast as his big Minotaur hands can carry. He looks at Clank with a moment of appreciation in his eye that you can see for bringing him up onto the bridge before this all goes down.
What drinks are they serving?
You don't know this liquid, but it pours and it's thick and viscous. And you'd have to leave the honeypot and go down into this plaza if you wanted to figure out what they were serving.
I want to grab Ugg first because one of us should be taken. I don't know that Ranadin's literate.
Everyone, I'd like to bring everyone's attention to Armitage, and I want him to kind of gather everyone around before anyone does it.
Alright, I gather.
So we've kind of landed in this glade, right?
Yeah, so the only person who doesn't heed your summons is Viol, who is busy trying to figure out what the hell has happened to her craft, and doesn't even listen to the orders of the Admiral when it comes to the fact that the honeypot isn't functioning right now.
Also, Fila, I imagine will also ignore my who's also been on this
if
non-stop.
Fila is still on the ship, then yes.
Always in the shadows. Okay, everyone, I just want to say, these people seem very nice. I think we should all go freshen up and put on our best clothes before we go out into this plaza. Does everyone have their best clothes? And I look at Ranadin and kind of look him up and down.
I'm going to go shower and use my disguise kit to look as close to Buzzington as I can.
Okay, so
Great choice.
Disguise Kit turns Ranadin from a slightly aquatic-looking, like Sourgan / dwarf into a yellow and black striped fish-looking Sourgan / dwarf.
Oh my god!
It'll do. Buzz.
Buzz. Yeah, and
you
also
at least have some kind of clothes, like something to approximate clothes.
I don't think Ranadin has any spare clothes, unless I'm mistaken. Yeah,
It doesn't count spare clothes if you don't have any clothes.
Yeah, yeah. So Ranadin's garms, which just about classify as clothing, are cleaned for him whilst he has this shower. And Tanny comes down wearing like the most beautiful. She's gone for a summery look, and she has gone for vibrant colours to match the flowers that spontaneously sprout out of the ground all around the ship.
Amazing.
Whilst everybody's getting ready, I'm going to take Buzzington to the side and ask, like, what the fuck is going on? Why did they address you by your name? Have you met them? Quietly on this, but
Okay.
Clank, I'm gonna level with you. I don't know how they know my name. I'm having these visions. They've been happening pretty much ever since we went into that weird necrotic temple that time. And I've had things that feel like this, and every time I fall asleep, I'm visited by this voice that feels so familiar, and I think that this is who I'm meant to be, you know. And I kind of do a Troy Bolton High School Musical thing, where I'm like, I finally discovered the start of something new, who I really am, got my head in the game, and I expressed that feeling to Frank.
Wow. So
that was a vague way of saying no. I have no idea what's going on.
But a very Armitage way of saying it, nonetheless.
Exactly.
Ranadin emerges with the
Without
middle
admitting
part.
I don't know what's going on.
somehow this slightly comforts Clank, but
Oh,
still a bit
And
terrifying.
Ranadin will appear at this point with, as he says, a middle parting in his, lush and fairly unkept locks.
I want to grab Ugg and go to Tanny and be like, "Do we look presentable, Miss Tanny? Do we look handsome?"
You both actually look very good from my perspective. And you see, Ugg just swelling with pride.
with pride.
Yep. Fortunately, he's got his little bow tie. He's got his full kit ready.
Clank's now going to approach Armtress and ask him if he knows anything about this. Like, what are the outer planes?
Yeah.
Armtress
is looking through a couple of books that he has brought with him and charts. He has quickly discarded the charts, deciding that physical relations doesn't seem to have held through these mists that you have travelled, and so is instead looking up the area. He is going to make an Arcana check to see if he can place you now.
Cool.
My boy with a natural 20.
God
Oh, yes,
This is why you bring the Minotaurs. This is why you bring the Minotaurs. I think that puts him above 30, so he knows where you are.
God damn.
And
Holy shit, DC 30.
He figures it out, and he just sits there and goes, I believe we are in the realm of Arvandor. That which links the plane of Arborea with the plains of the Feywild.
Are they real planes or are they outer planes as well?
The Feywild is a unknown entity, permeates many different planes. Arborea is one of the outer planes.
And that's where we are.
Arborea was that
one of the
fruit.
realms of Arborea.
I see.
And you guys will know, but he doesn't because he wasn't with you at the time. You guys have heard a bit of lore about Arborea from your conversations with the pilot you then killed about these celestial fruit.
Okay, we didn't kill
And
the
you
pilot.
cannot remember.
The pilot
Yeah,
killed
We
himself.
didn't
You
kill
didn't
the
kill
pilot.
him.
He was always
You just
flying,
got him
and then
drunk,
he was
and then he
dying.
lost. But if you guys, as people, don't remember that, I understand that. So if you would like a recap, I can do that.
Yes, please. Do we need to roll for it, or?
I think it is sufficiently recent that your characters will remember everything that I told you, and if you want to gain more information than that, then I might need a roll.
Cool.
So the tale that was spun to you by this unfortunate pilot that was so prone to accidents, he said that there was a fruit, the fruit came from Arborea, and it was so divine that the gods of Celestia coveted it. And eventually, one of the gods stole
Seb,
it.
you're not allowed to show us stuff like that. What is
Jesus.
that?
So that is the elemental planes.
Yeah.
It's the representation used in 5th edition
just a
to
pretty picture.
show those. They are not actually outer planes. They are distinct. I have a book written in universe about the elemental planes of that one of my players has, and I've just written out like the intro and a couple of the pages so that he could see the style, get the information. But yeah, so the Celestials coveted it, and one of them stole some. And as they were flying away with the thing that they stole, they dropped some. And so those, like, where it dropped, it scattered amongst the material realm and created these regions where they would be completely affected by the essence of these fruits, which came to be known as fruit, like Celestial Arborea, because it was a combination of the two.
Right.
That's what you remember.
Okay. I'm
And
going to
we
read
brought it back.
Armtress.
Yes, you did bring it back. What was that, Henry?
Everything that Clank remembers, he's going to relate to Armtress and see if that clicks anything else for Armitage.
So the fruit that Ranadin was displaying, the husk and seeds,
Indeed,
those belong to this realm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Ranadin took a bite out of it, which I thought might get us in trouble, but they don't seem to mind.
They appear to be serving us more food, so no harm, no foul. Is the way to die.
Do we need to be wary of anything here? Is there any?
He laughs. It's like an immediate, and it's a very hot, like it rolls up from him out of the mouth. Yes, Fae are tricky. They are dangerous. They are of a good nature for the most part, particularly those that inhabit these upper planes. But they are inherently chaotic. They enjoy the chaos of nature.
And are Fae the birds that came down, the angel things?
Those birds, I believe, are rocks. Simply giant creatures that inhabit this realm due to its connection to the natural world. Fae are generally far smaller than you would expect for the power they hold within them. And he starts to get a little scholarly. You see, you've got him on a topic he enjoys. He's like, in general, larger creatures hold more creative essence in them, and are therefore more powerful just by living. Fae have much of their power in non-physical manifestations, so can be minute and yet extraordinarily powerful.
Wow. Do you think that's what we heard on the way down? A Fae speaking to us?
A particularly potent Fae, or one of the native inhabitants of Arborea. Because we are in Arvandor and because it was obscured by that light, I cannot know for certain.
Well, that puts me on edge a little bit. But I guess we have no choice but to go down and feast.
Indeed.
Oh no.
You see Ark looks down at Ranadin. Do you not feel like eating? Ranadin, are you sick? Are you sick? Help! Doctor! We need a doctor. Armitage, why did we not get a doctor?
He's quite wisely pointed that out. We should probably get on that when we get out of here. If we ever get out of here. I'm not sure I want to, but...
That's true. We might just live out the rest of our days in this beautiful plane of existence and be like, fuck all of our character development. Like, we're just gonna live in pleasure forever.
Yeah. We have won the D&D lottery.
We've won D&D.
Time to roll new characters.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Alright.
Yeah. I'm gonna come and brief Ranadin and Buzzington and tell them Armitage has some knowledge, we do actually need to be wary. Buzzington, I know you feel really comfortable here, but there are some chaotic creatures about that are very powerful. So
yes, there are, and they're right here.
Buzzington, calm down.
Buzzington has been getting I don't know. I've been making Buzzington kind of more chaotic every kind of week. I feel, and so let's keep going. Let's go. I'm feeling great.
As you tell Buzzington to I know you're excited, and he's like, ooh, and then he does the exterior. You see the mask of the actor, the sheer power of a thespian of his abilities.
Yeah.
But his wings are still flapping a little with excitement. No matter what he does for the rest of his body, the wings are a slight tell. And right now, Buzzington's buzzing.
Armitage, just be careful, that's all I'm saying. And Ranadin, don't misbehave. I know how hard that is for you.
Okay.
Cool. Let's go feast then, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanny, would you like my arm? And Tanny runs an arm through Uggs, and they descend out of the loading cargo ramp together towards the beautiful scene of the glade. Ugg, you can see Ugg starts to walk and gets a little stiff, and it's almost like he's forgotten how to walk as he goes, and you realize the arm's going forward at the same time as the leg rather than opposite to the leg, and he's just waddling forward. What do you guys do?
I would like to encourage the entire crew to come out. I feel like we're all in the same boat. We've all passed into this other plane. I don't know how you feel about that from a DM point of view, Andrew, of the whole crew coming to this feast.
Absolutely fine with it.
Awesome. Cool. I think Armitage, Clank, Ranadin, Vile, Glint, Ugg, Tanny, Amtris, and Cuglil all coming out in a procession down the gangplank.
Cuglil is the only person who would require some prompting because he's so reserved from his time as a slave. Also, his natural habitat is underground, so this beautiful open area isn't quite as appealing for him as the others. Viol, realizing that she can't get to Fix immediately, is perfectly happy to keep an eye on what you guys are doing and enjoy her time out there, knowing that the ship has landed and is not going to crash right now.
Fantastic.
I'm going to leave my familiar on the ship because I don't think we should leave it unattended.
Okay, the clockwork parrot detaches itself from its favourite position on Clank's shoulder. You notice that whilst originally, as Clank built this clockwork parrot, it was very mechanical, over time it has started to take on aspects of a creature, and now it likes to slightly nibble at Clank's metallic ear every now and then, and like rub its head in a quite affectionate way. It steps off of Clank, walks towards the main chamber, perches on the area where Clank would hold the large steering wheel, and sits as sentry.
Cool.
Sorry,
carry on.
If you'd like Cuglil to come with you, I will need someone to try and persuade him. Otherwise, he would prefer to stay on the ship.
I think if Cuglil would prefer to stay on the ship, maybe let him stay on the. I talk to Clank. What do you think? Do you think Cuglil? Do you think we should force him out here? Or do you think we should let him?
I think
we should let him stay on the ship.
The whole point of the feast is that it's a treat. If he's not going to enjoy it, let him do what he enjoys. Right. This is a good rest for the crew.
That's fair. Okay. Yeah. All right. See you later, Cuglil.
Bye, Cuglil.
He descends back towards his chambers.
Are we allowed to reset, pick our spells on the way off, or is that only at the end of a long rest that we repick spells?
Only at the way of a long rest, yeah.
Okay.
It's all right. Right now, it's not going to be too pertinent. If we come into a combat situation, or if you want to cast a spell, just bounce it off of me. I'll be pretty lenient whilst we're out of combat situations.
Okay, thanks.
I'm gonna run down and go up to this feast to see exactly what's on offer.
By the time you guys, you've showered, you've had the conversation with Antris, the feast is now set, and you notice that some of these people do come. Like, the feast isn't just for you. People do come in their animal forms, or slightly strange animal forms, transform into this elven-like form, but slightly ethereal. They seem to float almost as they come across, pick something up of a platter, place it into their mouth, and then twist and form into a different animal and flutter away or scamper away, depending on what they take.
Awesome.
And Andrew, when Armitage looks at the way in which they're transforming from beasts into their elven forms, is that do I feel like my ability to turn into twice per rest into my forms is related to the way that they do this? Or would I have to investigate?
Arcana check.
Ooh.
So, you have magical potential, but as a bard, you're not quite a wizard. You haven't studied it as thoroughly. Although you did spend a bit of time looking at books whilst you were being a slightly spoilt offspring of the colony. So you're like, this does appear to be connected. They seem to have a similar mechanism. Whether or not yours relates directly to theirs, or if they are just sharing a common thread, you don't know.
Interesting.
As you guys approach and are getting close to actually entering this plaza, you hear the same androgynous voice comes over. Will you accept our hospitality?
I look up, I look around at the others, and it looks like they've also heard the same thing, and I kind of look vaguely into the sky and be like, yes, please, thank you, yes, what, yes.
Ranadin bows at this awkward.
Merry. Okay, you bow. You've noticed something now. Make an insight check.
Me?
Everyone.
Yep. No, just Ranadin.
Insight. Oh, thank God I'm so fucking wise.
Wise.
Yeah, boy! Oh, it's 15.
15. Whenever the voice speaks, the retraction of your connection into yourself grows, and then when the voice finishes speaking, it loosens. It seems to go into you, retreat further whenever that voice is present.
Interesting. I kind of tap the hilt of my sword and walk over. I'm a little cautious about my guy. I feel a little alone. Usually I'm quite happy to just pull him out and talk to people. But there's a lot of fucking good food here, so I'm gonna pass for now.
You look over the platter. What you will notice is that there is no animal produce. Everything is plant-based or takes the form of some sort of liquid. The drink, which I believe Ranadin was the first thing to specify, is a thick, viscous green fluid that tastes like honey but is plant-based.
Oh, perfect.
What do you think of this?
You look over, there's like a single very large tear rolling down Ugg's cheek because Taddy is still like politely got an arm through his, and he is holding they're served in not quite like a seashell, but almost like a freshwater shell variety of a seashell, and the liquid fills it, and as you drink from it, Ugg just literally in heaven. They're not very talkative, Tanny says to you after a while. You notice that the sort of elven-like things that flit in and out don't seem to be talking to you, saying any words. Occasionally they will laugh with this childlike merriment, as if they have literally no care and no thoughts other than flit in, grab something to eat or drink, flit away.
They will sometimes join in laughing, not really understanding.
I approach the person nearest to us and ask them, hello, my name is Armitage Buzzington. Would you know who our host is today? Who can I thank for this hospitality?
The childlike laughter comes first, sort of like a giggle, as the elf puts a hand over their mouth. In a similar way to the voices androgynous, you find that these elves are themselves very androgynous. It's impossible to say whether they are male or female. They are beautiful, very beautiful. As they giggle with the hand out, they kind of lean forward and kiss you softly on the cheek, and then whisper in your ear, "Dear Shul has put forward this feast. You better enjoy it." Dear Shul.
Dear Shul. Okay, cool.
And then they look over their shoulder at you with a sort of glint of mischievousness, but a playful mischievousness, as they suddenly transform into an animal, this one taking the form of a squirrel-like creature, and scuttle away through the glade and off of this marble plaza that you are on.
Okay. So what, are we sat at a table at the moment? How many people
you
are sat
can be
around
sat
the same
or
table?
stood. None of the people that come in and out sit, but some of your party might have. Amtris has decided to sit so that he has something to write on, as he keeps looking around. Like, he seems less interested in the comings and goings of these creatures, or the foods around him, or the drinks around him, and much more interested in sort of the structure of the plaza itself, the topography of the land about him.
Okay.
Buzzington, what did they say?
They said that we're the guests of someone called Deershil, and that we'd better enjoy it, which sounded a little bit sinister to me. I don't know about you, Klein.
Yeah, that's unsettling.
I feel somewhat trusting of these people, and they clearly have saved our lives because we crash landing somewhat. But
that's true.
I have reason to continue pulling on this thread for the time being and enjoy ourselves a little bit. We've had a long journey, dear Clang. We could probably
try one of everything.
Armtress, do you recognize the name Deershul?
Deershul. No. But it's etymology. I think we are dealing with a native inhabitant of Arborea.
Not a Fae.
No. Although Fae can take up names and inhabit many places. But even if they are a Fae, it would imply that they have taken on at least some of the aspects of this realm.
I see. Okay. Well, let's, like you say, Buzzington, let's enjoy ourselves for now.
Sure. So what is the structure of this kind of feast at the moment? Is it that there's tables of food laid out,
tables
people
with platters
coming
on
and
them,
going, and are people stood around mingling, talking to each other and doing that giggling, or
they sort of just like they run in, giggle, and run. They're very childlike, like they've just had for a moment a fancy to have some food, come back to the adult table to grab it, and then disappear into the forest and natural area around to play in their animal forms.
And there's no one else. There's no one else that we can see that
see.
seems. Okay.
No, the only thing that you would notice is perched next to your honeypot, the giant 120-foot wingspan bird has sort of nestled itself there. With its wings retracted in, it is much less impressive, but still, it is a huge bird, closest, I'd imagine, to an eagle in design.
Every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, I'll get my familiar to do a lap of the honeypot and make sure nothing's amiss.
You go through, you will find each 10 minutes, I imagine you guys will spend, Ranadin's sampling one of everything here, which takes a little bit of time. Ranadin, everything tastes good. There is a general theme throughout it, though. You personally would have preferred more variety to the tastes, but everything has this very, earthy, very fresh, very revitalizing nature to it, and everything is either sort of savory, refreshing, or sweetened and sugary.
Interesting. I would like to try and talk to anyone that I can, anyone that comes by, and just make small talk like, "This is good. How do you make this?" What's questionable?
Interesting. Make a persuasion check, please.
Alright. Oh, getting that. 0.
Oh.
6. So the one kind of looks at you and cocks its head on its side, as if wondering why you've asked this question or what purpose it really leads to, before just turning, giggling, and running away. There isn't an understanding. It's not that they've chosen to ignore your question. It's like the fact that you asked a question didn't really, in their mind, register that it needs a response.
I see. At one point, I'm going to take 8 paces away from the table. I'm going to walk up to it. I'm going to bite something, giggle, and then run away.
You bite it, giggle, and run away. You are immediately chased by an otterish-like animal form as you start running your way through the glade.
Interesting. I will continue pretending to be one of them for a time being. I'm basically just going to copy them. I'm going to see what happens.
Clank and Armitage.
After seeing this happen.
Okay, Clank, what's your base movement speed?
40.
40, and Ranadin, what's your base movement speed?
35.
35. Okay, so Clank has the advantage, but it's not a guaranteed thing. So, can I get acrobatics checks from both of you?
Right.
As this is a game of tag more than it is a wrestle.
Oh, damn! 19, Nat.
Fuck.
I'm giggling. You'll never catch me, Clank. Ranadin,
come back.
What's a friend?
You are sitting by a very bemused Viol, who doesn't really take kindly to the fact that just everyone's giggling around her, and she's much more focused. She gets some things that she likes the taste of, sits down next to Amtris, and kind of looks over his shoulder as he's doing some of his work. And you then see Ranadin runs off, chased by one of these... Let's call him an elf. Chased by one of these elves, and then Clank starts running after Ranadin, gets very close a number of times, but this place is a bit strange. Streams will appear in front of you quite randomly, and it puts you a bit off balance, whereas the short and stout Ranadin makes it through.
Yeah, boy.
Andrew, did we establish that, and I don't know whether I'd learned to do this as part of my experimentation with polymorphing, have I gained the ability to speak whilst polymorphed? as a creature?
No. So when you polymorph, in specific, you take every attribute, including the mental attributes. When you use your boon, you keep your own mental attributes, but gain the physical attributes. Strength, dexterity, constitution. All of that you have taken.
And so I can speak when I use my boon?
If the thing can speak. So it's a very limited choice, because it has to be a beast, and it has to have a language written down in its stat block.
Okay, fine. So I can't be a talking giant eagle. That doesn't work.
Unfortunately not. Yeah, the polymorph has.
I can call to other eagles, but I can't. Yeah.
Yes.
Fine. I'm not going to turn into a giant eagle. I don't know. Everyone else is running around. I turn into a giant eagle using my boon.
Okay. So the boon is a giant eagle, but you can use polymorph. Remember, the boon has limitations on it. A certain
I think giant eagle is CR1.
And it has to have no swim or fly speed.
Ah, you're right. Okay. No. So obviously you're right. Okay.
The giant eagle with no wings.
Giant eagle with no wings. Oh shit. Okay.
The forest.
If you see a giant eagle with no wings, then you can use your.
How about an ostrich? A general flightless bird.
Exactly. If you find one, then you can get into it. Get on it.
Can I turn into the what's the fastest looking, nicest looking thing that the other people are turning into?
Ooh, there's a silvery style fox, but as you try and turn into it, you realize it's not a beast that they are turning into.
Okay. I decide.
In and of itself, interesting.
I decide not to bother with turning myself into a beast, and I keep trying to get the attention of anyone who will talk to me to figure out who Deershill is.
A performance check. Use
I
your
thought you'd never ask.
To get yourself in. It takes some time. Eventually, one of these forms comes, and as they transform into the elven style, they are not, as the other ones are, naked with flowing robes of white over them, but instead wearing a defined uniform. It's of a style that is unfamiliar to you. It doesn't represent anything that you have seen before, but it does have distinct form and shape and color to it.
Okay. So I recognize it as looking like some kind of uniform, but don't really know anything other than that.
Yeah, and because it has color on it, it is a stark differentiation from the other elves that you have seen.
What color is it?
It's kind of like a green, but it has little red highlights throughout it.
Okay. Hello, are you Deershill?
He smiles down at the floor as if embarrassed for the confusion with Deershill, but says, "No, I am Elixtor."
Elixtor, pleasure to meet you. The first person who's really spoken to us since we arrived. We just wanted to show our gratitude for this lovely feast. And wondering if we could meet our hosts at some point.
Oh, you will meet them, but your gratitude is well received. Thank you. He looks over and sees Ranadin and Clank having their little.
they seem to be having
catch
fun
me, Clank.
In
a kind of way
that those beneath you act as those beneath us. Please be seated. And he gestures at one of the chairs.
And my wings flutter slightly as he says that. I kind of look over at the two of them playing and say, "Oh, aren't they having fun?" In the same way that dog owners talk about their dogs when they play together off the lead. We're like, "Oh, isn't that great?"
It looks like Ranadin's probably having more fun than Clank. Clank, like after Ranadin escaped him the first time, has got just a little bit more competitive about the situation than game of Baytag. So you sit down. As he gestures to you, a section of these tables seems to sit separate and on a slightly raised platform. You don't know how you didn't notice it before, possibly because it wasn't like that before. And so he takes the steps, rising up to this round table, gesturing for you to be seated. So
I sit down. I sit down and.
What is it that brought you to us? a merry happenstance, or were you looking for something?
We have been looking for passage to Hardak, actually, and ran into a spot of bother. These mists appeared. We were aware of the location due to one of our scholarly friends of some kind of gateway in the universe, and I recognized these mists from visions I've been having. I feel a deep affinity and connection to this land. I would be fascinated to learn more about how you come to know me. I heard this androgynous voice as I came down that addressed me by name. I would love to know more about that, if you know anything about that, Elixir.
Of course. Dishel knows many things. They are powerful. As he's sitting, the sort of small white flowers that are around you, they're slowly dying. But not dying as in being killed, dying as in changing colour. And red is rising
much less dark
over the white.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
red is like rising up over the white, and they're turning into red flowers, a sort of growing influence around this individual that sits before you. Yes, very powerful and very knowledgeable. You took the mists of your own volition. That speaks well for you. But you have brought many with you who are not, and do not show such affinity as you do for our world.
These are my friends and acquaintances who I'm helping to shepherd to see the light that we see together.
That is good to hear. May you guide them well. And he smiles at you. I will be leaving, but please rest as long as you need. Heal your wounds. And he stands up, and then as he walks away, those flowers that turned red uproot and start to walk with him as he walks into the glade and into the forest. And as they walk, they grow slightly before they are lost to your vision. As he's leaving, most of the other spirits are also leaving. The other elves slowly start leaving more than they are coming, and you are left in this plaza to yourselves momentarily. What would you like to do?
Buzzington, you hear Clank shouting at Ranadin, "Get back here, Ranadin!"
You'll never get... Wait, where did the otter go? Oh, it's no fun anymore. I just stopped running.
Clank immediately grabs you.
Clank runs into him and they both collapse onto the ground.
Oh, Clank. I didn't know you felt this.
Fuck off. No, we're not doing this. I to avoid shouting across the plaza, I point two fingers, one each at Ranadin and Clank, and message them and tell them to stop being so fucking stupid and come back and sit at the table with me. There's something weird about this place.
It does happen one to each, because that's the way message works.
I do one to Clank, one to Ranadin.
Yeah. So you hear Buzzington, as if he's like speaking right behind you, into your ear, saying, "Stop being so fucking stupid. Come sit with me. There's something weird."
Ranadin started it. I stay back in my head and then walk back over.
And Armitage,
yes,
you
I did
hear
start it.
Ranadin started it. Comes back because you get to reply to message. You have 6 seconds to reply.
I roll my eyes internally. There's no
As you are
consequences of that,
starting to walk back, the seats that are not occupied have disappeared. The tables slowly vanish before everyone who is not using them, to be replaced with hammocks and shade providers, so that the area becomes a sort of almost like a vineyard, with the grape-like vines that wrap over these pillars that make up this plaza, growing out and creating the shade over these hammocks. You are all together. You can speak to each other freely.
What do you guys think of this place?
I think it's great. Mostly.
Buzzington, I feel quite unsettled about it.
I wondered...
Everything's too good to be true.
The thought has crossed me that all of this might be in my head, and that these mists may have just been LSD. and that we are completely tripping balls right now. But the fact that you are enough like you makes me think that you are also real and experiencing this, and therefore it's not entirely in my head. But this does seem rather unusual.
But Buzzington, I'm you, and I gesture to the fact that I'm dressed entirely like Buzzington. Maybe this is a dream.
Frank starts panicking a little bit internally as he realizes how weird the situation is that there's two Buzzingtons.
I might sleep on the ship. I don't know about you guys. I think maybe we should take a rest. But maybe let's sleep on the ship.
I thought these were your friends. Do you not trust them? They seem to be chill.
As a show of trust, maybe we should sleep in the hammocks. I don't want to think we're ungrateful.
Want us to be trapped in the hammocks? Yes, I'm on to you. I'm fucking with you. Let's go to sleep.
You can see that Tanny is already inhabiting one of these hammocks, and Ugg has sat down next to the pillar, leaning with his back against the pillar that she's on, and with one of his mighty arms is slowly rocking her, as the other one drinks heavily. He's forgone the shells and is now drinking straight from the urns from which this nectar-like drink appears.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to take a long rest. I don't care. I'll do a song of rest as well.
Okay, Buzzington
for anyone else that's sleeping.
Happily humming and buzzing away as he...
I do that.
And as you rock in your hammocks, Ugg can't fit in a hammock, even though there is one provided for him. It's too far away from the one for Tanny, so Ugg stays where he is. Amtris is still working on his books at one of the tables, not taking even a moment away from trying to figure out the experience that he is currently going through.
I'm going to ask Buzzington what that creature said to you earlier about we must be grateful or we must enjoy it. Do you think that was a threat? Are we going to get in trouble if I do sleep on the ship?
I think it would be very worth a show of faith right now in them. I think that's the only thing that I can glean from this. That the impression we've got is that we will be fine if we are grateful and show faith. And so far, we have no reason not to go along with this. They've been very lovely, and we've not seen them do anything evil. So I think for now, let's definitely put our faith in these beautiful beings.
As you wish.
Okay. Is there anything else anyone wants to do as you guys take a long rest?
I'm going to leave my parrot circling every so often in the night because I don't need to sleep, right, if I'm doing a long rest.
Nope, you just need to stay relatively still for 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's all it takes for you.
I'll try and stay quite alert.
Sure.
Mm.
Anything else? Anyone else?
How's my connection with my sword? I know it retracted, so I can't.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't hear its voice or anything. The last thing it said to me was just like, "You're on your own for a bit, buddy. Good luck."
Basically, yes. You can,
I
draw your sword or try and interact with it, of course.
I'm going to trust in its faith and not try and talk to it for a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's all I can do. I might go for a wander whilst we're doing a long rest every so often, just kind of walk around the woods, like the local area.
Yeah, so you can spend up to 2 hours of your long rest doing untaxing things, keeping watch or going for a little stroll without disrupting the effectiveness of that rest. So you're more than welcome to wander a bit. As you do wander, you just walk a little bit away from the plaza, but this is a strange place, and distance and what you encounter is a bit more varied than you would expect from the material realm. Ranadin, can I get a wisdom check, please?
Ooh.
It is not a saving throw.
Uh-oh.
God damn it.
No bueno.
D20. Damn.
Ooh. Ranadin,
I think for the record, Clank will also take little wonders during the long rest, because he is quite tense still.
Yeah, and you only actually need to take 4 hours of rest, Clank. That's part of your construction, so you have even more time to wonder, which means I will also need a wisdom check from you. Thank you for being honest.
God damn it.
Oh, boys. Rolled one higher and yet got one lower. Because Ranadin is the wisest of you all.
Disgusting.
He always is.
As you are both wondering, Armitage, you kind of briefly awaken this lovely warmth all around you. It's like the perfect temperature to sleep. Warm enough that you don't need anything covering you. A light breeze plays with these small fur-like hairs all over your body. It's quite wonderful, and you're glad in the short moment that you didn't decide to go back to the ship, even if it does make you feel a little bit anxious. You hope that you have made the right decision. When you look over and see while Ugg and Tanny and Amtris and Viol are all happily where you expect them to be, both Ranadin and Clank are missing. Their hammocks empty. You see no footprints lead through the glade away from the plaza.
Oh. Would I expect there to be footprints?
It looks like a patch of grass and other such things. You know that Clank himself is made of metal, and Ranadin has never been known for his pussyfooting around.
No. So it's okay. That's
it does seem a bit strange,
unusual.
but you also don't know how this place works.
It's true. How am I dream? Do I dream of anything during my sleep?
Nothing
or am I
that holds to you with particular fervor. Just a normal amount of dreams.
Okay. I have I had enough rest during this sleep, or do I need more rest in order to have had a long rest?
Given the nature of this place, I would say that you probably feel rested, as if you've finished your long rest.
Okay. Well, in which case, feeling a bit rested, and concerned for where my friends are, I'm gonna go on a wander and see if I can.
Make a perception check for me, please.
Is that a perception skill check, or?
It is.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Mediocre roll.
So as you're going through, you
bad.
think you see the slight glint of reflection that would indicate Clank disappearing behind one of these thickets of vegetation in the distance. So, as you're headed out looking, you let out a call, and that's the direction that you think that they have gone in, or at least the one that Clank has gone in, where Ranadin has gone. Who knows what that dwarf does?
Who knows what that silly dwarf. Okay, so I'm wandering around on my own. I'm going to load my pistol with a bad news round, just in case.
So you take out the bad news round, and the round itself's a fairly big slug. But what really turns it into bad news is just a sheer amount of myrrh shot you load into behind that thing. You're like, either's going to make someone else's day very bad, or my day very bad, as you load the bad news in, click open the flintlock style.
And just keep it in its holster on my side, and just to feel a little bit safer, just kind of tap it a couple of times, but maybe not too hard.
You walk forward. There's a brief moment where you can't quite remember how long you've been walking for. It's a very short time, but at the same time you're feeling tired, so you've walked for a much longer distance. As all three of you walk into a clearing from different directions at exactly the same time.
Oh.
Ranadin, in front of you, you see Clank and Armitage. Clank, you see Armitage, and then Ranadin, and so on and so forth. And you all walking towards each other and towards this clearing. It's a very strange but moment.
Are we long rested now?
Yes. Given where you rested, even though normally you feel like you wouldn't have taken enough time here to rest, you feel as though you've got everything back. Spell slots are back. Hit points are back. You guys can click that long rest.
Duke it out.
I don't have to do it now, but I'm going to change enchantments and spells.
Okay.
I don't know whether you just want me to message you that separately, so we don't have to go over it all. Cool.
Yep. Just drop me a message.
Alright.
Okay. Hello, boys.
Howdy.
Were you following me?
I thought I saw a glint. I noticed that you were missing from your hammocks. Just wanted to make sure you weren't getting into any trouble. Just friendly.
What did you see on your journey? Oh, also at some point I'd like to just taste the dirt.
Okay, yeah. Ranadin decides right now is the time, as he's listening for the response. He's
It's like the idea that we're just watching Ranadin
less
like
earthy than you would like. You know, given how exuberant and extra everything is here, you feel like as you eat this earth it should be extra fertile or, you know, more than it is. But it's not. And that slightly disappoints you.
Ranadin, were you traveling with Buzzington? Why are you over there?
I don't know, I guess people just are places sometimes.
The wisdom, boys. It's so good.
That was not good. That was.
But all of us at once?
This seems like an odd coincidence to have all appeared at the same time in this clearing. Let's look around the clearing.
Passive perception.
I got 14.
It's higher than mine.
What was that, sorry?
Passive perception.
What's passive mean, sorry?
10 plus the thing, there is a stat for it on your sheet below all the skills.
Yeah.
And passive perception is
13.
Oh,
okay. Oh, yeah, 9. Okay.
9.
holy shit, bro. Oh my god.
It's bad.
It's embarrassing.
Got the highest initiative and the lowest perception. How does that work?
He draws his crossbows like, wait, what am I shooting at?
Exactly. It's probably the better combo, but like.
Yeah. So Ranadin, you are the first to notice the change.
The change.
The change in that, despite the fact that the sky is always twilight, and there is always sunshine around you, it seems as though the sun is setting, given by the fact that things are starting to get darker, and the light is fading. And then as you look up to see the sunset, before your brain remembers that there is no sun here, you see that not only is the sunlight getting darker, but the stars are getting darker. Fewer and fewer of them are visible. It is almost as though a more complete night is falling.
Okay.
But we haven't noticed yet.
No, Ranadin's the first to notice, but shortly
Ranadin will be
afterwards,
staring
Armitage
up at the skies.
notice. Yeah, Armitage would then notice, and then a little bit after all that, Clank, possibly due to your robotic vision that slightly amplifies to compensate. Then you're the last to realize that the day is coming to an end.
What is the perceived light source of this place? Is there just some ethereal fiddle light?
Like in the center of the day, when the sun is directly above you, and there's so much of it that it kind of diffuses around objects, so that you kind of just like, I can see everything around me without having necessarily an obvious point of view.
Okay.
If you're walking
it's
through
like a cloudy but sunny day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're walking through a forest, so you have a canopy overhead, but there's so much light that it pierces the canopy without having an obvious source.
Sure.
That is just the entirety of this place.
Okay, a bit weird, but fair. But it comes from above. We're being lit from infinity or something. Yeah, cool.
Something of that nature. And at the point that Clank realizes that darkness is falling, you look up and around. As darkness has fallen, not only has the light changed, but what it lights has changed.
Wow.
The trees change, the grass changes, everything develops a harder appearance. No longer soft grass underfoot, but buffalo grass like you would find in Africa.
Guys, do you feel that?
Yeah, that seems a bit odd to me. Perhaps
We should get back
go
to
back to
that.
the ship.
We should get back to Amtris. He would know.
Let's go.
Okay.
And then all of you are like, which way to the ship? All of you think the ship's behind you.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, okay. I polymorph into a giant eagle and ask the others to get onto my back.
Okay.
And fly out.
I'm not gonna refuse a giant eagle.
I accept.
Into a giant eagle.
I'm also going to my familiar to start scouting around and see if it can see the direction I went in. Make some connection.
You try to contact your familiar and find no response.
Oh, fucking hell.
I make sure that Clank gets on before me so I can hug him from behind.
Okay, Clank, you are now riding the eagle, and then Ranadin's arms and heavy stomach presses into your back, but the arms go around the waist to hold on to you.
You're flying, Clank.
We've had a couple intimate moments today, mate.
We have. We've been a lot of Clanky.
So, once they have mounted you, Armitage, what would you like to do?
So let's go up. I can't feel my familiar. I don't know where we are.
Yeah, let's go up. I'll fly up. I have keen sight.
So you start flying upwards through the canopy and you pierce it. Looking around you, because it is dark, you would normally have disadvantage, but given your keen sight, you can make a straight perception check for me.
Sure.
Advantage, disadvantage cancel each other out. And as an eagle, you would use it for perception. 22. Not bad.
Lovely.
So, you glance about you over the sparse tops of trees and nearly immediately see something that's probably hidden from Ranadin and Clank in the gloom, and that is towering forms ambling their way through this forest.
Fuck.
They are maybe 6 times as tall as the trees themselves, long bipedal bodies with hands that drip down off the shoulders and towards the floor. They walk, these slender forms, in an eerily slow manner, but no head sits atop the shoulders, just a massive void near the top of the torso that glints with light and shines a beam forwards and out. And from in the distance behind it, you see many of these beams illuminating the forest below them as they walk around. And with the towering forms looming over our lost players, we conclude part 1. If you've been hooked and want to know what happens next, then subscribe and click to be notified of the next release. Making the video in this style has taken substantially longer to do, so if you enjoyed it and want to see more like it, show it some love. Those of you looking to have a character drawn, comment a description below, and if I really like them, they may even become NPCs in one of these games. You have been listening to Henry, Seb and Toby, as well as myself, playing Dungeons and Dragons. I hope you will join us for further exploration of the world of Hardak and the cosmos beyond. But in the meantime, as you are headed out into the real world, roll for initiative.